Hello and welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. You are gathered with us tonight for the most chaotic wrestling review show in the multiverse. This is All for
NAWT.
Not.
Not. Yes,
You held
sir.
that pretty long. Wasn't expecting that.
we
I cut
are
off
back.
short.
We are back again on another Wednesday, 7:15 Eastern or Pacific, 10:15 Eastern to discuss Monday Night Raw and NXT from the last 2 days, and to preview WrestleMania this weekend. I guess we should do Stand and Deliver as well since we cover NXT. Just did everything real quick.
Mhm.
So let's start it off with our regular good old Raw review. Where that will, let's see. Raw started this week with The Rock in the ring,
Mhm.
and he says, "I made that boy bleed." Talking about Cody
Yeah.
Rhodes. Talks about how he busted Cody up pretty good. And
And
let's
he had the
see.
moment of the night.
He had the moment of the night
Mhm.
for Raw this week. Is that you're saying that now?
Yes, I am.
And what was the moment for you? This whole segment, or was there a particular portion of this segment, or what?
When he showed video of the Cody crybabies at home.
That was pretty funny. Roman came out and joined him, and they had some fun at Cody's expense. He wanted Brooklyn to acknowledge him, which they did, and ultimately that brought out Seth freaking Rollins, who had some things to say. Uh, now, if you two idiots think I'm walking into that ambush after what you pulled on Cody Rhodes, and you're stupider than I thought you were. That's how Seth started his little segment of this segment. What do you think about this? Ultimately, it
um,
ends up ultimately it ends up in Seth. Seth challenges The Rock. The Rock says, "You don't get the final boss," or maybe it was Solo. One of them, either The Rock or Solo. So you don't get the final boss. You get, and it ended up being Solo who ends up accepting the challenge. So he has to face. So it ends up being Seth versus Solo. Bloodline rules later in the evening. That's what ended up ultimately coming out of this. What do you think about this?
what's the deal with
35 minutes,
Solo?
the first 40 minutes of the show.
Like they still want to
What?
treat him like a threat, and like half a year ago he was a threat, and like he beat Cena, and it was like, all right, Solo's getting it. Like, and has he won a match since?
That's a good question. I don't know. How many matches has he even been in since?
Oh, a lot, like a lot, a lot.
A lot, a lot. It doesn't
Like
seem like
at
he
least every
wrestled
other week.
all that often.
Well, it's not always singles matches. Like he also does tag matches with Jimmy,
Yeah,
but like he's wrestled a lot.
yeah. No, I mean they were definitely warming him up. I mean it seemed like they were heating him up to be, the next big thing. Everyone was thinking, oh, he's gonna end up, turning on Roman and taking the belts from Roman. And yeah, they've definitely cooled him down a little bit. It seems like,
He's,
which is
I'd say
unfortunate
he's
because
had more matches than Jimmy and Roman combined.
I like him. I think I like him the most of the four. If you're talking about Roman, Solo, Jimmy, and Jay. I mean, I like Jimmy and
Oh
Jay,
yeah,
but I really like Solo. I really like
I
Solo.
really like Solo too, and I wish better for him,
Yeah,
but because right now he's kind of the guy who takes pins in the bloodline.
yeah. According to Seth Rollins, it also turns out Solo has the biggest bag in the bloodline since he was the only one willing to accept his challenge. We know what he
Well,
has
I'm
there.
sure his wife is pleased.
I'm sure his wife is pleased. All right. So, I mean, that was as you would expect with The Rock and Roman and Seth. That was, I think, the first 40 minutes of Raw on Monday night. Um, Everyone's entrance, everyone talking, blah, 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 blah. Ultimately, we move from that to a video recap. Rhea having an interview with the MMA Hour and Becky showing up, basically fired up, not wanting, or fired up, just basically wanting to fight as opposed to really like sit down and maybe like be part of the interview and try to rebut something Rhea said. She just kind of walked in, started talking some shit, and wanted to fight. Um,
I would not know it had happened if WWE didn't show me.
yes. Oh yeah. I don't watch MMA Hours, so and that ultimately led into Kathy Kelly backstage with Becky. Um, she's here tonight to start what she finished in the studio. She's going to be in the ring later. We'll see if Rhea answers the call. Uh, Anything to say about this at this point?
Um, Not as good as the last segment.
The
I mean,
segment with the Rock and Roman, or the segment with Becky hijacking the interview?
I'm saying the Rock segment was the highlight of the night, and to
Yeah,
start the show off with that, it's
yeah, yep. Let's see.
it
We
wasn't
ultimately
bad.
then
It wasn't bad, but I was just thinking in my mind, all right, well,
Yeah, no, I mean, I know that they talk about opening the show with a big thing and ending with a big thing. That's where you want to bookend it. But yeah, I mean, right now, The Rock and the Bloodline is definitely, and the Seth and Cody stuff is definitely the biggest story going in WWE, and it feels like it should be at the end of the show, which it is ultimately again here, because the main event is Solo and Seth. So we're gonna get more, bloodline stuff at the end. So I guess ultimately, I guess if you're bookending it, it does make sense. But yeah, no, I mean it's kind of hard to follow that segment, right? So I get it. Let's see. We then had the Judgment Day versus New Day and DIY in an 8-man tag. Let's see. Judgment Day got the win. Damian Priest got the uh, Razor's Edge to pick up the win. What did you think of this match?
solid. Uh, I mean, I like all these people in here, so I mean, uh, well, do I like Scrappy Doo? I don't know, but like, I definitely like everybody else for sure.
Yeah, I mean, all 8 of these guys can really wrestle, right? Even if you don't
Mm-hmm.
like Scrappy, he's a good wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
All these guys can really wrestle, so you get what you. I think we got what we expected when you see this on paper. It was fun. I don't know if it's worthy of more, but we'll see what ends up happening ultimately. But it was fun. Let's see. Then we get a video package of Chad Gable helping Sammy train for his upcoming match against Gunther. This is obviously a continuing storyline. So let me ask you a question. We'll get to it, but let me just propose something here. What if Sammy loses to Gunther at WrestleMania and ultimately blames Chad Gable for some reason, for distracting him, for whatever, giving him bad training tips, something, and we end up in a Gable Zane feud? Does that have any interest to you? Does that sound fun or no?
Um,
Or would you just have rather
yeah,
Sammy win and then maybe Chad and him have a feud for the title?
I don't really want to see Sammy and Gable feud.
You don't want to see
Straight.
Sammy and Gable feud.
No,
All
not
right.
really. No.
Okay.
If Sammy wins, I'm down with them having a match for the title, but like, I'm not really wanting some big feud.
You're not interested in the big program between the two of them. And why is it?
Like, I'm
Just
cool
out of
with it.
curiosity, is that because you just don't like the way they work together? Is it because you don't think Chad's ready for that? Or I mean, I guess I'm not sure.
No, Chad's ready for it. It's just the components available. I'm like, I don't really like these two parts together.
Okay, I can understand that. I can understand
Like,
that.
I'm fine with them
Uh,
like doing like a makeshift tag team, but like, why would they do that? There's so many other people they could tag with.
Sure, sure. No, I mean, I guess when you really think about it, like Sami Zayn has worked really hard to get himself in that kind of main event picture. And Chad Gable's definitely on a level below. So it's a little bit of Sammy reaching down, especially if he wins the title, to have a long or big feud with Chad Gable, who's kind of a mid card guy, and he's really trying to be a main event guy. So I mean, I guess I can see it doesn't quite work. Um,
Like if they
but
want to have a
yeah,
match at Backlash, I'm down with it. But like,
right,
I
right.
don't
But a
want them
long
to
term
be going
feud,
against each other up until like SummerSlam. Like,
yeah, I hear what you're saying. Let's see. That led us to Judgment Day. Rhea and Damien are livid that Dominic has brought Legato into the Judgment Day clubhouse without telling them beforehand. What do you think about Dominic trying to bring other people into the clubhouse? We're going to see it again later in this episode, too. Kind of an
uh,
underlying theme of the episode of Raw.
I'm down with it. I just feel like this might lead to the beginning of the end of Judgment Day.
Yeah, I feel like this is the beginning of Dominic probably going somewhere else, ultimately leaving Judgment Day and ending up with Legato, I would think, or something. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but that's
I
what it
mean,
feels like.
honestly, bring Damian Priest with you. Like
Bring Damian Priest with you, yeah.
Dom,
Damian and
Priest,
Dominic, yeah,
Andrade, Santos,
yeah. Joaquin and
Los
Cruz.
Humbertos Garzas. No, 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 no.
Oh yeah,
Joaquin and
Angel. You're
Cruz are
right,
already
right,
gone.
right. Yeah, Angel and Umberto. You're right, right. That's
Yeah, Los
WWN.
Humbertos Garzas.
Right, that's Legato. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't keep my luchador straight. Um,
The only sad
yeah, no,
part
I
is
mean,
Zelina's not in the group.
is it what?
Zelina's not a part of the group
Yeah.
because I'd love to see Zelina and Andrade back together.
No, it'll be interesting to see what ends up becoming of what ends up coming of this. Let's see. Then we ended
Hmm.
up with our second match of the night, which was Sami Zayn versus Bronson Reed. Uh, Resulted in a no contest because Gunther gets involved. Um, I was a little irritated because this is like a repeat of last week, essentially. This is where I thought the show dragged a little bit. We had this match last week. Um, Sammy took the loss to Bronson, then we have it again this week, and Gunther comes out and spoils it. So the whole thing, I don't know. It's I'm not sure. Feels like Bronson's kind of caught in something that has nothing to do with him, and so he doesn't really have a storyline at the moment. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's just kind of there to further Sammy and Gunther, and then it's weird. What do you think of this? Anything you want to say?
Um, uh, Sammy got his win back.
Yeah, I guess technically, yeah. No, it says here it was a no contest.
Oh, is it? I thought that Sammy won by DQ.
That's what I thought, but it
Huh.
says match results here no contest. I mean, this is just WrestleZone, so I don't know what, but that's what it says on the thing here. It says match result no contest. So, uh, did this segment get you more excited for Gunther Zane at WrestleMania, which is what it's supposed to do?
I mean, I'm already pretty excited for it. Like it, I don't think it increased it any, but it keeps it going.
Yeah, I hear that. All right, then Jey Uso's backstage, and he runs into Lil Wayne. And the reason this is just worth mentioning is because Wheezy will be performing at WrestleMania 40. Are you a Lil Wayne fan?
Um,
Does that do anything for you, him
Somewhat.
performing at WrestleMania?
I think it's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I like him better than Bad Bunny. I mean, I don't know if he's going to get involved at all, but I mean, if you're having celebrities come to perform, I prefer him
You
over Bad
know,
Bunny.
I will agree. I do like him better than Bad Bunny.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have
Well,
no idea if
not in
he's
a
going to get
wrestling
involved at all.
aspect. In a
Yeah, I mean,
wrestling
I don't know if
aspect,
he's
I take Bad Bunny.
we'll see if he gets involved at all, and if he does, what he can do, if anything. I mean, I don't imagine he's probably going to get involved, but I don't necessarily think Bad Bunny was going to get involved either. So, but we'll have to see. But just from a performance standpoint, I much prefer to hear Lil Wayne than I do Bad Bunny perform. So, let's.
I can't hear you. LW. Hey. Well, howdy, folks. Hope everybody is excited for WrestleMania this weekend. I know I am. Uh, Last year was pretty good. Year before was better. Let's hope this year tops them both. Fingers crossed. Mm,
How about now?
yeah, you're fine now.
All right. I was just saying I was starting to have deja vu because I feel like we saw this match last week on Raw as well.
Uh,
If I'm not mistaken.
well, we had Candice going one on one with Ivy Nile, but the week before that, I believe it was this. Yes.
Okay, yeah. See, so this is our third week in a row with the same amalgamation of four people in some way, shape, or form, either in a
Hmm.
tag team match or a singles match, getting involved with each other. So I mean, it kind of is what it is. This just doesn't really do a whole lot for me. I mean, we talked about how good Candice LeRae is, and I mean, I'm not a big Indy Hartwell fan. We've already talked about extensively in past episodes about how Candice Dupree needs to, or Candice Dupree, Maxine Dupree needs to improve. And, we even talked in the cookout about, her being harassed about not improving and being booed by the fans and that kind of stuff, whether that was appropriate or not. Um, she's,
If they want to boo, they can boo. Like, just like don't be like overly vulgar.
yeah,
Which
I
I
mean,
don't think
I
they
don't,
were.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, I mean, I'm an asshole, right? So like when I pay my money and go to wrestling, I go, if I'm close enough, I go deliberately to talk shit. That's why I'm there. I go
Well,
to tell people you suck. Like that's what I deliberately do. I mean,
yeah,
I
you suck is fine, but like, there's other things you can say that are like not okay. Like, don't get like too vulgar. Like, there is a line and you can cross it.
oh, I'm sure there is. I mean, I'm sure there is. I mean, I'm sure there've been real incidents with fans and wrestlers getting,
I I mean, I
whatever.
could name some things off the top of my head, but we're live right now, and I don't feel like getting the show taken down.
So, needless to say, was there anything you wanted to say about this tag team match,
Candice
or
LeRae is more talented than the other three combined. I don't know. What do you want me to say?
I don't know? So I was just asking.
Um,
Uh, want you to say anything? uh, let's see.
maybe Maxine should go and manage her brother again.
Yeah,
I mean, he don't need it though. He don't need no mouthpiece.
definitely not. Definitely not. Let's see. Then Jey Uso tells Seth Rollins backstage that he's got his back tonight in the Bloodline Rules match. And then we got a Drew McIntyre eulogy, is what they're calling it here. Look into my eyes. What do you see?
What do you see?
CM Punk has no match in Philly on January 20. Oh, wait, yeah. There's no match in Philly. On January 27th, the world lost the opportunity to see an out of shape, has been man event or main event WrestleMania with his brittle, fragile, failed, or with his brittle, fragile body. Failed him worse than did in the UFC.
Tell me when he's
Wow.
telling lies.
What do you think about Drew's eulogy for CM Punk?
Beautiful.
Yeah, honestly, this for me might be Drew's most standout promo ever in his career. Like, this is the first time where I ever could think to myself, okay, yeah, that's actually a memorable promo. I'm gonna remember this for a little while. Like,
It's just
he
so weird to me that Seth is feuding with the Bloodline. Drew
right,
is feuding with CM Punk,
right,
but
but
the
they
match
have a
is the same
match at
show.
WrestleMania, right? Yeah, at this moment on this Raw, you wouldn't necessarily know that Drew and Seth are the match at WrestleMania, right? Which I guess is a little bit of dropping the ball because this is a go home show for Raw before WrestleMania, and you're supposed to be hyping up the
Mhm.
WrestleMania Drew and Seth. But yeah, no, it's definitely kind of an odd situation. Um, but yes, I thought this was his best promo, and personally that I can remember in his career. So I thought this was good for Drew. I really enjoyed this, and you're right. I thought that he hit on everything, and that everything he said was accurate for the most part. I mean, we're not where we're openly well, other than Dolores, most of us here at Workhorse Wrestling Network are anti uh, Phil Brooks. So this was fun for me. I actually enjoyed this. Let's
Well,
see.
I
Then we had
mean,
our
I like how like we all have our own opinions about things.
yeah. Let's see our fourth match of the night: Ricochet versus Ivar. Again, I'm not totally sure this match.
Here's two dudes that are pretty talented, but will not be on WrestleMania, so we put them here.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing, right? Like, this is a go home show. Not every single minute of the show should be moving towards WrestleMania, but the bulk of it should be. And to have a match in the middle that's a filler match that has absolutely zero to do with WrestleMania and nothing. It's like, okay, I guess it is what it is. I mean, you got to fill the 3 hours with
Mhm.
something. So, okay. Ricochet got the win. Uh, let's see. That led to the next Judgment Day segment backstage, where Dominic Mysterio has now brought Santos into the clubhouse and is introducing
Andrade.
Santos. Yes, you're right. I'm brought Andrade in and is introducing Andrade to Santos. I find it hard to believe that Andrade doesn't already know Santos, but okay. Uh, but and
Andrade is very familiar with Dragon Lee, but
Dominic tells Andrade that if he can take care of the Ricochet problem, they'll consider making him a full-fledged member of Judgment Day. You think Andrade
you need me
actually
to take
comes?
care of your problems? No, I want you to take care of my problems.
Do you think Andrade ends up joining Judgment Day?
You never know with Andrade.
Is it good? Do you think it would be good for Andrade to join Judgment Day?
It gives him something to do.
Yeah. You think he needs a faction at this point, or I mean, he definitely needs some direction in storyline. I don't know that he needs a faction, but
Honestly, I could see him taking the whole thing over.
yeah, yeah, that's his style.
Hmm.
Let's see. Then we got damage control, talking about how they planned to show up Jade, Naomi, and Bianca at WrestleMania, and that they will realize they are indeed the future of the business. Um,
I mean, I love all three of them.
right. You mean which? Who? What three?
You said
Jade.
Jade, Naomi, and Bianca.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I was just making sure. I mean, because it was Damage Control talking about how they were going to show them up at WrestleMania. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't. Are you? What do you think about? I guess we'll get to it when we get to our WrestleMania preview. But what? I mean, are you excited for Damage Control versus Jade and Naomi and
Hmm.
Bianca? Yeah. Let's see. Then we get a Rhea and Becky segment. Becky has come around to Brooklyn. She's looking for a fight. This is kind of furthering from the when she broke up the interview and then whatever. She doesn't want to talk anymore. She wants to fight. She wants to fight tonight. There's no reason to wait to WrestleMania. Let's do it. Adam Pearce comes out and says, "No, that's not going to happen. We're not going to do that tonight." And then Rhea comes out, and of course, Adam Pearce has like 10 million security guards with him. Rhea comes out, they exchange some looks and a couple words, and then Rhea rushes the stage, getting past after knocking out several security guards into the ring with Becky, and they go at it for a little bit until ultimately being broken up. What do you think of this? Did this hype you up the way it should for this match?
Yes,
Yes.
much more than the first one did.
I agree. I think for me on this Raw, this was the best segment at turning up the heat on a match at WrestleMania for me. I thought this was the one where I was like, okay, yeah, this is what a go home show should have on it as far as pushing these matches and getting us excited for it. I thought the other stuff that had been WrestleMania forward so far hadn't been that great. So, but yeah, no, I really enjoyed this segment. Let's see. Then we had our fifth match of the night, which was Damage Control with Io Sky versus Shayna, Zoe, and Tegan Knox in a
It
six-woman
was
tag match.
it was so weird to me saying Tegan Knox in this because I was just like, wasn't she just feuding with them? Like,
Right? Yeah, and I don't, Shayna Baszler, they should have more for her to do than to just be thrown in as kind of a random person into this whatever. Oh, they needed another woman, so Shayna's sitting in catering. Might as well put her in the match. Like that's what it feels
we
like.
need a heat damage control for this weekend, so we need you to go out and lose to them.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen Shayna in several weeks, at least not that I remember seeing her. And so here she is for the first time in a little while, doing really nothing, taking a loss, right? So, and here to make damage control look good, which is a shame for Shayna. Zoe Starks, it is what it is. Zoe Starks, she's fairly new. And so, she has some time still under her belt, but Shayna's already older and been here for a while. She deserves better. And Tegan, I think, deserves a little bit better, but I don't know. The whole thing was a little odd. Did you enjoy the match at least?
Honestly, like, I suppose no. Hmm. Was this better than the other women's tag match of the show,
That's a good question.
Candace? Was it
Yeah,
better
I
than that?
was it better than that? I think it was just because the women in this match are better wrestlers. So I think the
The
actual wrestling itself was better, but
the
I don't know.
tandem
The
German
storyline
suplex
isn't any
that
really better.
oh, the tandem German suplex that was done to damage control was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean I think there's a little more talent in the ring here with these guys than there is with the other ones, but yeah, at the same time, I mean neither of them really moved the needle for me too much. And all I kept thinking to myself is, this sucks for Shayna. That's the only thing I thought the whole time. Is like, why? First of all, why is Shayna here? Secondly, she's taking a loss, and it just sucks how good she is, and she has no storyline, nothing going on. It's brutal. So let's see. Then we come to Seth runs into Drew backstage and tells Drew, "I'm not dead yet." Okay. Um, this was their only interaction in the Go Home show before WrestleMania when they're wrestling for Seth's title. Was this enough for you? Did you like it? Did you care? Would you rather not have anything at this point?
Honestly, this I felt like this was pretty on point for them. Of like, see you this weekend. Yeah, see you then.
Well, that's what happens when you're both on other storylines, right? Like, yep. So, yeah, no, I mean, it is what it is. That brings us to our sixth match, which was ultimately Seth Rollins, our main event, Seth Rollins versus Solo Sikoa in a Bloodlines rules match, which obviously means there's going to be a ton of shenanigans. It
The
ended in it.
reason for this is to so that way they don't have to explain so much for WrestleMania when they do the same match. Like,
So you say that means you think that Seth and Cody are losing on night one.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yes.
ooh, spicy. I guess we'll get there in a few minutes when we get to our
I
WrestleMania
mean,
review. But
I guess you could take the other mindset if they did it here so that people won't be so upset that it's not happening this weekend. I'm taking it of the mindset they did it here so that way they don't have to explain as hard as what it is because literally it just happened this week.
yeah,
Like we've already explained it to you.
right. So let's see. It starts off obviously with Seth and Solo going at it for a while. But that doesn't last too long. Ultimately, Jay comes down, or Jimmy comes down, and then Jay comes down. So we get Jimmy and Jay. The Rock comes down and attacks Jay from behind. Um,
Cody,
and and
Cody.
then Cody comes down, storms the ring. Everybody's in the ring doing their thing. Um, Rhodes with the spear. Reigns. Let's see. Yeah. Roman plants Cody with the spear, and him and The Rock hug. The bloodline viciously whips Cody and
And
Seth with
Seth.
the weight belts. Yep, Cody and Seth with the weight belts to end the
Yeah.
show. What'd you think of this final little segment here? Did this? I'll ask you the same question I asked before. Did this do enough to heat up this um, Cody Roman match for you, or this Seth
Yeah.
Cody Rock Roman match on night one?
Yeah. I feel like this is like top tier quality stuff. I wouldn't complain no matter the company that did this. This is good across the board for me.
Yeah, I mean, other than the fact that I don't like Roman, and I don't, really care to hear him speak and be the focus of attention. Other than that, this is good stuff. I mean, this is, this basically has all of your biggest stars in it, ultimately for the most part, and you've brought back a legend that everybody loves
I'll be
to be
back.
in the mix, huh? Oh, yeah. Brought in a legend that everybody loves to be in the mix. So, I mean, it's solid here. I did want to say that I think it's very interesting that the people over the years that WWE has chosen to be the face of their company. Roman is now going to surpass Hogan to be the person with the longest standing or longest title reign in the history, or one of the longest. Not the longest, but one of the longest. Sorry, beat Hogan's title run. He'll still be behind. I guess it's Bruno Sammartino who held it for like 8 years. But and really, when I was just watching WrestleMania 1 and 2, just I'm trying to watch. I want to watch all the WrestleManias, not obviously before this WrestleMania, but just because I want to watch them all. And watching Hogan, he just reminds me a lot of Roman, just kind of in the way that they are, in their personalities and kind of promo styles, and even though one's a heel, one's a face, just I can't explain it, but I just see, and it's weird to me because even though I was a Hogan fan back in the days before I knew any better, um, they're both just so limited. Ultimately, Hogan's a better promo than The Rock, or than Roman, much better promo than Roman. But they're just so limited, just in general, and what they can do. And it's just weird that those are the two of the guys that they chose to hitch their wagon to for extended periods of time to make the face of their company. So I thought it was kind of interesting. Let's see, Sammy's back. So, did you want to say anything else about the main event here on Raw?
Um, could have used more solo.
Could have used more solo. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them warm him back up and him get a bigger push as a solo guy. Let's see. So that was the end of our go home show for Raw this week. Last show before WrestleMania this weekend. And that brings us to our next show, which is NXT from last night, which is also a go home show leading up to Stand and Deliver, which is at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on Saturday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. We will be here for the watch. Actually, I think it's at 9. I think 8:30 is a pre-show, but 8:30 or 9 and the show will start. And we will be here for live watch along. So join us for that. It'll be at least myself and Dolores and whoever else wants to join us. We will be here. So make sure and tune in for that. In the meantime, though, let's see. This week kicked off with a tag team triple threat match between Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus the OC versus the LWO.
I thought
Um,
for sure it was going to be the OC.
I did too. I was pretty surprised, honestly, when Nathan Frazier and Axiom won this match. Uh, what do you think that means for the? Do you think that means? Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think having Axiom versus Nathan or Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus Corbin and Breaker means Breaker and Corbin have a better chance of retaining or less of a chance of retaining than they would have against the OC?
I mean, I felt like they were at 100 no matter who they were facing.
So you think they're walking out either way with these belts?
Hmm.
Interesting. I feel like they have a better chance of beating Axiom and Nathan Frazier than they do the OC. I think that seems to make more sense. I think that's why ultimately Nathan Frazier and Axiom won. Because I don't think they're ready to have the OC and Baron versus Braun quite yet. That actual like one-on-one thing. Because I think that the OC might be the next NXT Tag Team Champions.
I mean, I
So
felt like it was going to be the OC simply because they're the bigger draw.
right, and that's what
But
I'm
also,
thinking.
I don't really feel like they want to bring him back to NXT. Like, I think they're just here for a short stint.
Yeah, I guess that could be
And
true.
I mean, we shall see.
We
I
shall
can't
see. I
tell the
mean,
future.
usually, I mean, as we've seen, even when they bring veterans, most of the veterans that they bring back to NXT, at this moment, Baron Corbin really, aside, most of them only come for a little cup of coffee, right? They come, do a little stint, and then go back. Baron Corbin's really the only one that seems to have hung out for any extended period of time.
Apollo Crews was there for quite a while.
That's true. He was. You're right. He was.
But, I mean,
But a lot of other guys and girls have come in for a match or two, and then they're gone, right? Becky Lynch with Lyra
where is
Valkyrie.
Apollo Crews?
Where is Apollo Crews? I don't know. He's one of those guys too that's been so good. It's so good and so talented, and yet it's like they just never seem to have the right situation for him. I don't know. It's weird. I'd love to see him maybe go somewhere else. Maybe try. I don't. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing, but it'd be nice to see him maybe try something else. Go to another company or something. I don't know. Let's see. Then we had Fallon or JC Jane defeating Fallon Henley. Um, you say you like this Fallon Henley better now? She's starting to wear on or not wear
I
on you, but grow on you. Let's put it that way.
my dislike of the bad soap opera stuff is starting to wear off.
Yeah.
Like I
Did
can now appreciate her because I'm not, filled with my dislike of all that they were doing before.
right. Does this do anything for you? JC Jane got the win. Um, before by defeating Fallon Henley. These two groups have been going at it for a while now, or these six women, I guess, ultimately have been kind of feuding here for a little bit. Do you like it? Are you excited for what they got going on? It's going to deliver. Can't go quite that far. Can't quite go as far as to say
No,
you like it.
I'm not a big fan of anybody here.
I agree with that. I would agree with that. Unfortunately, I think the only one out of these six that I actually like a little bit is the Ale, and it just depends on at times. Even for me, sometimes she's a little too full of energy. Let's put it that way.
They should have left her with Drew. Like
Yeah,
that's when she was the best when she was with Drew.
Then we got another match I didn't care about. Two guys that are really not moving the needle for me. I never liked Von Wagner, and honestly, Brian Pillman Jr., aka Lexus King, has been underwhelming, if anything, since coming to NXT. I mean, I think he came in with all the gusto. Everyone knew who he was. He's going to be a bit, and he just is like flamed out. I don't know. He's just not interesting. He's bland and boring, and Von Wagner's terrible. So, what about you for this?
So it's sort of a deal of where like you try to make something a thing, and then that just makes people like turn away from it even more. You
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
like it feels like y'all are trying to.
Yeah. With both guys. Yeah. Let's see. Then we had oh uh backstage. David tells Carmelo that she has instructed the referee to be lenient, just leading up to more building up to Carmelo and Trick at Stand and Deliver. Let's see. Then we had Lola Vice beat Carmen Petrovic in another match that doesn't really do anything for me. This doesn't have anything to do with Stand and Deliver. I have to go home show. I think this is now the third match on this card that had nothing to do with the go home show. Lexus or nothing to do with Stand and Deliver. Lexus King and Von Wagner didn't have anything to do with it. And oh no, two. I'm sorry, second match. So I don't know. This was obviously the down part of the show. This is kind of the middle segment of the show and the down part. What do you think about this?
I mean,
Anything?
honestly, I feel like the whole show up till this point has been pretty down, aside from the tag team match.
Yeah, that's fair. Then we got a Supernova sessions with your favorite
This
group,
didn't help.
Metaphor and Noamdar. Lash Legend. No, it didn't help at all. I didn't think so. No, you have been outwardly you've been outwardly against these guys in Metaphor, so have I. We don't really care for them here. The Nightmares are anti-Metaphor. So and this
They're
they're
pro
not get
pun though.
they're not getting any better. Um, you keep thinking, well, I guess if they get better at some point, it is what it is, but they never get any better. They're just bad. Uh,
Their best was the haunted house.
yes, that's true. That's true. Then I think this was the best match so far
Yes.
of the night up to this
Mm-hmm.
point. Obafemi versus Joe Gacy. Obafemi got the win. Um, but Joe Gacy looked okay in defeat, and Obafemi looked good in the win. And again, I thought this was the best match so far of the night, and my favorite part of the show so far. Um,
Mm-hmm. Same.
you're shaking your head, so you agree?
Yes,
Yeah,
very much so. Like
yeah, no,
also, like this might have been my favorite Oba Femi match. Like
yeah. It might have been his best match, honestly. I mean, Joe Gacy's
with
really good.
I think NXT's kind of sleeping on Joe Gacy. Like maybe y'all should
No,
like give him more.
I agree with that 100%. I think they are sleeping on Joe Gacy. But yeah, no, this is good. I thought Oba looked good. Oba's looked good. I like him. I mean, he's growing on me. Um,
Mhm.
he's every time he talks, he's a little bit better than I thought he was last time. Or than he keeps getting better and better for me when he talks, and his in ring work is good. I mean, and Joe Gacy's a
And,
solid wrestler, and this was a good match.
and with the crowd chanting, it kind of gives me like Panther vibes, and that makes me like it even more. And the
Yeah, yeah,
crowd
yeah.
was very active.
Yes, they were. Let's see. Then we had Ariana Grace versus Ren Sinclair. Now we have our third match that has nothing to do with Stand and Deliver. And I guess I mean to complain too much about women getting time is I don't want to sound like that. I mean I'm happy that women are getting time. I just wish there were better matches and that they had some sort of meaning for what was going on, or more than just they just felt like more than filler, which this unfortunately did
And
also.
and I feel like this was the worst women's match of the entire card.
I would agree with that too. Unfortunately, it was the worst match of the women's card tonight of the women's. Yeah. of the women's matches tonight. Um, so I guess you've said enough at that point. Let's see. Then we had, which was really a surprise for me, a grudge match. Sol Ruka versus Blair Davenport, and Davenport put her on the shelf for like a year, and Sol's back, and she got the win here in her first match back against Blair Davenport. I was
But
pretty
now
surprised.
I'm very confused because
Explain.
I had Blair Davenport pegged for being the next NXT Women's Champion.
Yeah, yeah.
So because that happened, maybe Lyra's losing at the pay per view
Oh,
because
maybe.
like Blair's a heel, and I was like, okay, so you keep the baby face so that the heel can challenge the baby face. But if the number one heel on the card's off now, like, what are we gonna do? Like, who's Lyra gonna face next? Like, let's give it to Roxy and have her face baby faces. Let's
Yeah,
go. Let's go.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's gonna make it makes the match at that Stand and Deliver between Roxanne Perez and Lyra Valkyrie a little more interesting. I think it makes it a little more unpredictable. Um, yeah, I was really surprised that Saul got the win here. I like Saul. I like both these women. I'm a bigger fan of Blair Davenport than I am of Saul, but I like Saul.
Mhm,
I was hot
mhm.
on her when she first came out. When she first debuted a while ago. So I'm glad to see her back. And I thought this was the best of the women's matches of the night. Obafemi and Joe Gacy was the best of the men's. Well, the best of the men's matches, and this was the best of the women's matches. Um, And that led to our final segment of the night, the face off between Carmelo and Trick. What'd you think of this segment? They stood in the ring face to face, talked some shit back and forth to each other. I was kind of surprised that they ended up not really getting physical. And that, you know, it ended kind of the way it did. But I liked it. I thought for the most part it was good. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I thought Trick came off as the better promo here, as a slightly better talker. Um, he was a little more hyped up. The crowd seemed to feed off of his energy more than Mello. I thought Mello was a little too calm, not
I thought
quite.
that I
Good.
thought this was pretty well perfect. Like,
Yeah,
and it felt different. It didn't feel like what we've seen 1,000 times. Like they took like some interesting turns there, where like even the crowd like didn't really know how to react sometimes because like they weren't expecting. Oh, promo's going this way. Okay.
yeah. No, I thought they did a good job. This was by far the best segment of the show, and it was the best segment of the show as far as being television.
Well, there's one thing you missed.
What? Oh, oh yes, Tony D and Ilya. I forgot about that. Yes, yes, yes. You're right. I totally did miss that.
That
I
was my favorite
apologize.
segment of the show, personally.
Yeah, no, no, no. I totally apologize. I totally missed that. But you're absolutely right. Uh, we had several different segments with them actually. Now that I think about it, the first segment was earlier in the night when Ilya went out to his car and it had a boot on it, and so he couldn't drive away. So they convinced him to get in the D'Angelo family, henchmen convinced him to get in the car with them because Tony wanted to see him again, and now he couldn't drive himself to the restaurant. Well, Tony wanted to see him. He wanted to drive himself. He couldn't drive himself because his thing is booted, so now he has to go with them. So, and they end up ultimately in the place that is not a restaurant. It's definitely a warehouse of some sort, right? An empty building kind of thing where there's just a table. Yeah. So, what did you think of it ultimately? They end up sitting together at the table and having a little tete-a-tete. I thought it was good. I liked it overall. I mean, I thought it again. It did a good job of hyping up their match for Stand and Deliver, and yeah, I like what he did.
Uh,
I was thinking to myself, now is the time that they need to have Ilya tell Tony D you might be Italian mafia, but I'm Russian mafia or something like that. Have a couple boys come with him too, like you know what I mean? Like I don't just I'm a member of the Bratva or something, and I brought a couple boys with me or something like that, and have it be a little whatever. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was the segment of the night, personally. Like,
yeah,
I'm really feeling it, and I think that Tony D's winning.
but that's because you think Ilya's going up to the main roster.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening. I'm kind of torn on that. We'll talk about it a little
And
bit more
Tony
when we
D's ready.
when we talk about stand and deliver here in just a couple minutes when we go over the card. We can talk a little bit more about it. But yeah, no, I mean it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening. But yes, I forgot about that. But yeah, that segment and this segment I thought did the best of the night of this NXT Go Home show to lead up to what's going on in Stand and Deliver to further those storylines. Yeah, no, you're right. Trick and Mello came off next to perfect, and Tony D and Ilya came off very good. So that was the end of NXT, which brings us to we're going to review quickly if I can find the banners. Dum, 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 dum. We're going to review NXT Stand and Deliver 2024 and WrestleMania Night 1
Uh,
and Night 2.
Preview, not
Preview, that's what I
review.
meant.
Preview.
Preview. Yes, they haven't happened yet. You can't review something that has not happened yet. So you can only preview something that has not
I
happened
mean,
yet.
unless you're psychic.
Unless you say, which I am definitely not. If I was, I would be much better in our predictions contest than I am. So, um,
Same.
let's see. So, stand and deliver the card as it stands as of now. We're getting Obafemi versus Dijak versus Josh Briggs. What do you think? What's your pick here? What's your prediction for this match?
Um, you know what? I'm gonna go Josh Briggs. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Oba here just because I think that they're liking what he's doing at the moment, and they haven't. We know what Dijak is, and they don't seem to want to do a whole lot with him.
Oh no.
And Josh Briggs, they just now have given him kind of a new look and separated him a little bit from Brooks Jensen and all that nonsense. So I think he's going to take a little bit more time to kind of marinate and warm up a little. I have a feeling the next match is going to be Oba versus Josh in a singles match, and then Josh might win for the title.
Oh
But I
shoot.
have a feeling Oba
I changed
retains
my
here.
mind. You convinced me. You convinced me. Yeah, it's gonna be in a singles match.
Yeah, I think Oba retains here. I think somehow
Well,
Dijak and
well,
Briggs take each other out, and Oba ends up.
Briggs could Briggs could pin Dijak.
Yeah,
Oba didn't lose.
yeah,
Then they get the match, and then Briggs beats Oba 1-on-1.
that could work too. That could work too. I guess it
All
really
right,
just depends
I'm
on.
sticking with Briggs.
I guess it really just depends on who HBK thinks is better with the belt, Oba or Josh. I mean, we've seen what Oba's done with it a little bit, but he hasn't really had it too long. He's only had 3 or 4 two, I think 3 title defenses. So um, I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Next match on the card: Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker versus Axiom and Nathan Frazier. You already kind of alluded a little bit earlier that you think Nathan Frazier and Axiom are going to get the win here. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
No, they're gonna get the lose.
Oh, they're going to lose. That's right. I'm sorry. You said Breaker and Corbin are 100% to win against whoever was coming out of that match.
100%.
100%. This is the stone cold lock of the night for Stand and
Mm-hmm.
Deliver. Sammy believes this is the
I'm
100% stone cold lock.
like, if I was a betting man, this is the one I'd be betting on.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's a much better chance that Breaker and Corbin retain against Axiom and Frazier than I did if they were going to be facing the OC. So I guess that's what we're going to get. So I'm going with them as well. Corbin and Breaker as well. Uh, we will get Lara Valkyrie, the women's championship match, Lyra versus Roxanne Perez.
If you asked me a week ago, I would have said Lyra, but now I have to say Roxanne.
After what happened in NXT between Saul and Blair Davenport.
Yeah, because if Blair's not the next challenger, then like, why do you have a babyface champion?
And do you think Blair can still be the next challenger even after taking the loss, or you think
No,
it's warmed, it's cooled her down too much?
that puts her back down on the card.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
that's unfortunate.
could she challenge like in the next 6 months? Sure, but it's not going to be at the next pay per view like I had anticipated.
Right. So now you're ultimately changing what you thought was going to happen. So now
Yes.
you're going to go with Roxanne Perez
Mm-hmm.
to win here. Yeah, I think Roxanne Perez wins here too. Um, I don't know if she's long for the title. I think her and Lyra then have another match where Lyra probably beats her, but
Mm-hmm.
um,
Which,
yeah, no, I
which
think
gives
Roxanne wins
you
tonight.
time to let Blair cook back up,
Yeah.
or
Let's
try and find
see.
another woman. But like, who do you have?
Nobody really, not that I can think of. Um,
At least not ready.
no, not ready. I mean, everyone that they had ready has moved up, and even the one that has moved up. I mean, the only one that's really, I mean, Tiffany Stratton, but she was debatable whether she was really ready or not, and she already held the belt. So I mean, at one point. So I mean, um, and she's gone anyhow, right? So there's no. I mean, we're not any of the six women in that Fallon Henley situation are not ready. None of those guys are ready. Um, I don't see JC Jane as ready, or Thea Hale or any of those guys quite as ready yet. So no, I mean, there's really nobody else. I mean, Blair Davenport, Roxanne Perez, Lyra Valkyrie. I mean, I think those are the basic three that are at the top of that food chain at the moment, right?
Yeah, and then
So
after them you have Lola Vice and Sol Ruka.
yeah, probably, yeah, and then a whole bunch of women bundled together below that. The rest of them,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. So yeah, no, that's kind of tough. So I think Roxanne Perez comes out with the win here too. Let's see. Then we have, I don't know which order these are going to be in, but the final two matches probably of the show. Ilya versus Tony for the NXT title,
Tony,
of which you already
Tony
said clearly you think
D.
Tony G's getting the win. Uh, I'm assuming that means you're formally picking Tony D in our predictions
Mm-hmm.
contest. Um,
Gabagool.
yeah, I mean Tony D is pretty hot right now. I mean, if you're gonna do it, now is a good time to do it. My only concern and my only complaint is just that I don't think Ilya's had a very good run, and I think a big win here versus Tony would solidify him as one of, as a really solid NXT champion. So I don't know, but at the same time, if if Ilya wins here, do you just run this back again? Because there isn't really anybody else that's necessarily next in line per se, other than Mello or Trick, if you want to talk about it. I mean, both of
Not
them
every
have
champion
history.
has to have a solid run.
No, that's true. But I mean, Ilya's so good that like, how does he not have one? Like, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, we waited for him to have the belt, and then it's been kind of anticlimactic with him with the belt. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing him get the win here and then ultimately move on and head and kind of circle back to Mello and Trick because he's got history with both of them. Um, and ultimately, I don't know if he loses to Trick at some point, but I mean, I don't know that Trick needs to be the next champion before Tony D, but it wouldn't surprise me if it worked out that way either. Trick is really hot at the moment, so where he goes after the win with Carmelo, after his match with Carmelo, it'll be interesting to see. But they both have history with Ilya, so. But if Tony D wins and Ilya moves on, then I guess we're talking about a whole different situation. So, um, but I'm gonna go at this point. Ooh, geez, this one's a tough one for me. I think I'm gonna formally go with Ilya. Honestly, I'm gonna pick Ilya to retain. I think he needs a big win here. I don't know what that means for Tony D, and we might just see it again in a couple weeks, and Tony D actually gets the win. But who knows? But I think Ilya gets the win here. And then our final match. I don't know if this will be. I don't know if it'll be the main event or not. Which one will be the main event? Oh, I guess I'll ask you. What do you think? You think Tony D and Ilya or Carmelo versus Trick will be the main event?
I don't know.
I think it kind of has to be Mello and Trick. I feel like that's the biggest NXT story at the moment. Um, it feels a little bit bigger than the title. I think they've tried to do a good job, and they've done a decent job with Tony D and Ilya. I just feel like Trick and Mello has a little bit more meat on the storyline on the story because they're friends that had one betrayed the other, and really all you have with Ilya and Tony D
Can
is
y'all go in the other room if you're going to be licking yourselves? Jesus.
all we have with Ilya and Tony D is just two guys fighting over the title, right? There's not a whole lot of Trick and Mello have a lot more meat on the bone. So, um, what's your prediction? Who are you taking here, Trick or Mello?
Who are you picking?
This is another one that's really tough for me. I think Trick gets the win here, honestly.
All right. In that case, I'll go with Mello.
All right. So that's the end of Stand and Deliver
Just makes
preview.
it a little bit more exciting for when we watch it.
Quick preview. Now we're going to move on to WrestleMania 40 Night 1 Saturday. I don't know what order
Extra
these are going to be in.
large.
Extra large. I have no idea what order these are going to be in or if there's going to be more matches, but these are the ones so far that have been announced, I guess. Dominic and Santos versus Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio. What do you think? Who gets the win here?
I'm going to go with Dominic.
Okay.
I think Andrade's going to be getting involved. I think that's what all this is leading to.
Okay.
But it could also be the flip side of that. It could be Andrade turning babyface and screwing
Oh,
over Dom and joining his brother Dragon Lee with Rey Mysterio.
interesting. I think Dragon Lee and Ray get the win here. I think ultimately Santos ends up with Lee and Ray in the LWO.
I was just hedging my bets on the fact that Andrade works better as a heel,
Yeah, I would agree with that. But
but
I'm
he
giving
very
the
well
yes,
could. He can be a babyface. He can do it.
and they have no problem trying to make people do what they're not good at for a while to prove that they're not good at it, and then have to get back to what they're good at.
I mean, we shall see. And like I'm down to see it, and it would also put Andrade back with Selena, which I know a lot of fans want, and it'd be a feel good moment for everybody watching at home, and especially for the people watching live.
Sorry, I guess I
So
disappeared there.
I can't hate the idea of it. Like honestly, like if I'm hopeful booking, that is what I'd want. Like
Let's see. Good.
so like I'm in a situation of either I'm right or I'm happy. Win win.
Win-win. Let's see. Our next match on night one to talk about is a triple threat match for the WWE United States title. Logan Paul, defending champion, against your boy, Randall Keith Orton. Your boys, Randy Keith Orton and Kevin Owens. You like both them guys a lot? I'm a huge Kevin Owens fan. Um, what do you think happens here? Who are you picking? Who are you going with?
All right, all right, all right. I think that Kevin Owens will give a stunner to Logan Paul, and then he's going to turn around and Randy Orton's going to get him with the RKO. Randy Orton.
So you think Randy Orton ultimately walks out of this with the U.S. title?
I think this could be his last title run.
Interesting. Hmm. I'm so torn here. This is a tough one for me. God, I, it feels like a spot for Logan Paul to go over, and at the same time, I don't want him to go over because it feels like even though he's done a good job, and I think he's a solid wrestler, I he feels he's always kind of felt like a part-time wrestler, kind of like an interloper. And I don't necessarily want him to get a win over two what I would call legends. And so that to me, I have a problem with. But they really like Logan Paul and they're pushing him a lot. And I could see how they could think a win here against these two guys is a big deal for him. And if he retains the title, potentially lose it to one of the two of them down the road in a singles match. God, I don't know.
Actually, I just had a thought. I changed my mind.
Go ahead.
Randy's probably going to get involved in the bloodline business.
Yeah,
He was already feuding with them before Logan Paul got involved.
right.
Like he has beef with the bloodline. He wants the title off of Roman.
He does.
And now that The Rock's back, like that's even more incentive for him to get himself involved.
Yeah.
Because he wants another match with The Rock. He's stated that time and time again. He wants another match with The Rock.
So then, if Orton's out in this picture, then we're looking at Paul and Owens, and you think more likely
One
to
of
win
them
out of
pins the
those.
other. Randy does not get pinned, and he doesn't pin.
Yeah. No, I think Logan Paul retains the title here. Unfortunately, I think he does.
Logan Paul pins Kevin Owens.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's such a horrible thing to say. And then he can brag about how he's beat Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Ugh. Yeah. No, I'm picking Logan Paul too. All right. Next, AJ Styles versus LA Knight. This match has to be one of the toughest ones for you because you love both these guys a lot. As do I.
I'm
I mean,
going
I
with
like them
LA
both a
Knight.
lot. They're going with LA Knight. Interesting.
I mean,
You didn't. That didn't even take you long to decide.
well, I'm not going with my heart. I'm going with my head.
Okay.
If I was going with my heart, it'd be a lot more conflicted. I'm going with my head. I think LA Knight's getting a push. He's also like half a decade younger than AJ Styles. He's probably going to be winning Money in the Bank this year. It's LA Knight.
All right. Do you think that there's any less or more of a chance of AJ Styles winning or losing with the OC, winning and losing in there, not being involved at Stand and Deliver? I mean, I know it's two totally different shows, but do you think that there's any? I mean, they're ultimately the club, right? I mean, they haven't really been
Well,
together per se, but
AJ's not been doing anything with them here of late, and the
yeah,
storyline is that he's not going to be successful without them, and they get back together.
okay. So yeah, oh geez, this is a tough one. I think I'm gonna go with LA Knight too, just because, like you said, he's been so red hot. But AJ is such a veteran and such a great wrestler, and he's just recently come back. This is his biggest match since he's been back. I hate to see him take the loss here, but LA Knight can't afford another big loss, right? Not if they're going to keep pushing, not if they're going to continue to push him the way they pushed him, right? I mean, he needs to have some big wins here, and a win against AJ Styles at WrestleMania is a big win for a guy like LA Knight.
And
So
we do need some baby faces to win.
yeah, yep. All right. A women's WWE title match: Io Sky versus
Yeah.
Bayley. Okay, well, couldn't even get it all the way out. So just no doubt about it, huh? Io Sky retains her title.
I mean, I'm looking at the SmackDown roster, and yeah, I mean, what baby faces do they have? I mean, what heels do they have besides Damage Control?
Yeah, my argument to that would be is what brand split do we have? I mean, everyone seems to be everywhere anyhow, so I mean, it doesn't really fucking matter. But yes, and the champ can go anywhere anyhow. The champs can go anywhere they want to. They've always been able
Tag.
to go. Oh, just the tag team champions? Roman goes anywhere he wants.
I mean, he's Roman. You can, he shows
I
up like
thought
once a month.
I
If he
thought
wants to
every
show up on,
I thought all the champions were allowed to go from show to show.
I don't
That's
think
not
so.
okay. Uh, I don't know. I'm torn here. I honestly, I think Bailey gets the win. I'm gonna go with Bailey. I think that Io's had the belt now for a little while, and it's been okay. But I think Bailey has her little revenge here against Damage Control. Not that I think that she deserves any real revenge against Damage Control. She's made her bed and she has to lay in it. She started this group. She turned heel. It is what it is. I mean, she kind of fucked over Dakota Kai first, so doesn't really surprise me that Dakota Kai fucked her over. I think Bailey gets the win here.
Bailey loses, and we get an 8-woman tag match at Backlash, and Bailey and her team will win at Backlash, but it won't be for a title.
Interesting. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Bailey here. So you're going Io Sky. I'm going Bailey.
Hmm.
Let's see. So that's the SmackDown Women's Title match. WWE Raw Women's Title.
Rhea.
Rhea versus Becky.
Hmm.
No doubt about it. Just Rhea.
Rhea forever champ. Let's get it.
Forever champ. I'm so tired of those two words, forever champ. Like those are the two worst words in wrestling at the moment, in my opinion. Forever champ. Like it's so
Okay,
boring.
okay.
It's so boring to have a forever
Jade or
champ.
Bianca. If it's Jade or Bianca, I can see it. If
Yeah.
it's not either of them, then no.
I guess we'll have to see what ends up happening. Rhea or Becky. Fuck, this is a tough one. Becky's really hot at the moment. They've been warming her up a lot. Does she have another title run in her? She does. Is it at the expense of Rhea Ripley, who's huge at the moment and much younger, and who's the face of the WWE Women's Division probably to come, other than Jade, and Bianca, but a big time, one of the big faces. Jeez, this stuff.
In my
Uh,
opinion, the biggest woman on the roster right now.
is Rhea?
Yeah,
Do we
the
know
biggest star.
is that true merchandise wise too? I feel
Oh, I
like
don't know about them.
I
No,
think
it's probably
Becky might.
Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there is that. Who's not even around? Is she injured?
No, she had a baby.
Oh, that's right. She had a baby. Let's see. I gotta pick somebody here. So I gotta go with my heart, and I gotta go with Rhea. I don't want Becky to win, so I'll go with Rhea here. But I could see Becky winning. I think that one's pretty 50-50, honestly.
I think
And
she's got
then
enough promotion for a new book.
yeah, and then what'll be our main event of WrestleMania Night One for sure? Cody and Seth versus Roman and The Rock. And
Bloodline.
Bloodlines rules match. This is a Bloodlines rules match, right? No doubt about it.
No,
Oh, it's
no.
not. Okay. The winner of this, if the Rock and Roman win, then the Cody and Rock or Roman match is a Bloodlines rules match. But I thought this
Yes,
one was also
I do not believe so.
okay. So you're going with the Bloodline here.
Yes.
Interesting. That pisses me off because if you're going with the Bloodline, then that indicates to me, well, then that tells me that means that Roman and Cody's going to be a bloodline match, which obviously means everyone's getting involved, and the championship match is going to have nothing but shenanigans and bullshit in it. And it's going to be a clusterfuck and end up with some stupid outcome.
Did you think it wasn't going to be that anyways?
Ugh, fuck. I was hoping it wouldn't. I
Like,
was
even
hoping
if
it
they
wouldn't.
lose here, that match will still be shenanigans because
Yeah,
all
no,
of
I
Roman's
know.
matches already are. At least this way, people can't
Uh,
complain about it because it's in the rules that shenanigans are allowed.
oh, fuck. Yeah, no, you're probably right. I guess the bloodline wins here. At this point, I guess in this environment right now, and the way you set this up, you don't bring the Rock in to lose in a tag team match here. I assume he's so. Um, and with Cody losing on, with Cody and Seth both losing on night one, it warms people up to them losing, both of them losing on night two. So yeah, okay. So we're both going with the Bloodline as main event of night one. Let's see. So WrestleMania XL Night 2 Sunday. I
Sunday,
don't know if
Sunday,
this again.
Sunday.
We don't know about the order, but we're gonna get Jimmy versus Jay.
Nice.
Let's see.
I'll be back.
Okay, Jimmy versus Jay Uso. Honestly, when I look at this on paper, this is probably the match I'm most excited for, just because it's brother and brother. It has the most meat on the bone as far as having um, that emotional tug at your heart, right? Brother facing brother. They're both on opposite sides of each other. Are they gonna end up actually kicking each other's ass? Do they end up hugging each other at the end? Do they work it out? Do they? If so, does Jimmy come? Does he leave the bloodline? Does Jay go back to the bloodline? Do they just go their separate ways when it's over and done with? And if so, well, what happens to both of these guys? I mean, Jimmy has a built-in story as long as he stays with the bloodline. But if Jay loses here, what does he go on to do? I have a feeling that Jay Uso gets the win here, but I don't know. I could also see it ending in a no contest type of situation because someone got involved or a DQ. But this is the one match on both of these nights that I'm most excited for.
Hmm.
What do you think about Jimmy and Jay?
I think Jay's gotten a big push, so I think the win goes to Jimmy to sort of balance them out.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. Then we have Bianca, Jade, and Naomi versus Asuka, Dakota Kai, and Kyrie Sane. So this is
I think
furthering this feud from well, not furthering, but yeah. Go ahead.
Naomi pins Dakota Kai.
I'm not going to go quite that specific, but I do think that Bianca, Jade, and Naomi get the win here. I think Damage
Mhm.
Control takes the loss. I think ultimately this leads to some amalgamation of Jade and Bianca, or Jade and Naomi, or Bianca and Naomi winning the tag team titles from
Backlash.
Asuka,
No,
from
not Backlash. I have a 8-woman tag match for Backlash.
Asuka versus from Asuka and Kyrie Sane at some point. It, to me, seems the natural grouping here as far as a tag team goes would seem to be Jade and Naomi. I think Bianca works a little bit better on her own, but we'll have to see what ends up happening. I wouldn't mind seeing any amalgamation of the three of them take the titles from the Kabuki Warriors. So
Hmm.
I think that's ultimately what's going to happen. So yeah, I think Bianca and Jade and Naomi get the win here as well. Let's see. Tag team title SmackDown tag team title 6-pack ladder Judgment Day Theory and Grayson. I mean Theory and Waller. Awesome Truth, R Truth and Miz. DIY or the New Day. What?
Is
Who
this
you
a
going
ladder
with?
match?
Yes, for the SmackDown tag team titles 6-pack ladder match.
I have the feeling that two people from two different teams are both going to grab titles at the same time.
Interesting.
But I definitely think one of those people is going to be our Truth, so I will go with Awesome Truth.
I
So I
think
should at least get half a point.
all right. I actually think Austin Theory and Grayson Waller get the win here. I think they walk out with these titles. They've been pushing these two together for a while now. They've done a lot of tag team work together. They seem to like both these guys a lot, which I'm a huge Austin Theory fan. For some reason, it just feels like this is a spot to give them the win and to give them the title. So that's my pick. Let's see. WWE Intercontinental Championship. Gunther versus Samuel Zayn. What do you
This
think?
is tough.
Tough. This might be the toughest one of the night of the whole of the weekend of all of WrestleMania, honestly.
Yes. And I feel like no matter who wins, we will be getting the grudge match at Backlash.
Yep, I agree with that as
So
well.
I think I might go with Sami Zayn.
Ooh, spicy.
But I also feel like Sami Zayn might only hold the title for a month and lose it again at Backlash back to Gunther.
Ugh, man, I don't know. I have a feeling. God, it really sucks because I really, really like Sami Zayn, and he deserves so much better. But I feel like he's going to get the Cody Rhodes treatment here and lose and lose and lose. I think he loses here at WrestleMania. I think he loses again at Backlash. That'll be because he's already lost once before to Gunther. So I think this will be the third loss. I think he loses 3 times, and then I don't know what happens. Gunther moves on to somebody else, but I don't know. I think this is the hill that Sami Zayn can't get over for whatever reason, which is
I feel like the
unfortunate.
Intercontinental title is worth more than Seth Rollins' title.
At this point, I think Gunther's had a better run than Seth has had with his championship.
Seth
Um,
has had a good run.
he has, but Gunther's had a really good run with his title
Hmm.
and a lot of really good matches. Um, and Gunther's come a long way. Not that Walter wasn't great, but I mean, that he's come a long way. Yeah, no, I think Gunther gets the win here. So you're going Sami Zayn, I'm going Gunther. Let's see, WWE World Heavyweight Title match: Seth freaking Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. Who you got? I know who
Drew.
you got. I know you got Drew. I already knew that before you said it. Um,
He's gonna hold the title until CM Punk comes back too.
uh, I don't really care for either of these guys at the moment. I've never been a big Seth Rollins fan, and Drew at the moment, I don't know. He's not really moving the needle for me. But the idea of
And CM
him
Punk will be there on commentary.
the idea of him holding the belt until CM Punk comes back, I hate CM Punk too. So like all that just sounds terrible. Um, but I guess Drew deserves a run in front of fans and another run with the belt, in a little bit better environment. Um, so my guess is that Drew gets the win here. If he doesn't, I'm not totally sure what we're doing. I'm not sure what Seth goes on to do or what Drew does if he doesn't get the win. I think Drew kind of
Hopefully, a
has to.
vacation. Seth deserves it.
Yeah, I think Drew.
He's already coming back a little earlier than honestly I think he should.
Yeah,
And he
no, I
already
agree.
wrestled on Monday.
Right.
He's wrestling
Yeah.
on Saturday, and he's wrestling
Yeah.
on Sunday.
Yeah. No, I mean, Seth has earned it. It earned probably the right to keep that title. But I have a feeling that Drew probably wins it here too. Um, I feel like WWE feels like they kind of owe it to him, and this is the time to do it. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm going with Drew too, unfortunately. And then the main event of all main events this year at WrestleMania, main event of night two, it's got to be the penultimate match: Roman Reigns versus Cody, Homelander, savior of racism, Devontae Rhodes,
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez. Let's see. I think I think Cody takes another L here, and I think Roman gets the
Yep.
win.
Same.
Oh man, I mean, I'm gonna say I feel bad for Cody, as bad as I could feel for anyone that's in his position. Right? He's a megastar in wrestling. He's rich. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got a great family and a great life for all intents and purposes. So like, he's not
I
hurting at all, right? But like, I feel bad for him that at this point he's gonna take another L to Roman Reigns.
I think it's fine
Yeah,
because he will win the title eventually.
yeah.
And honestly, he might be the first in history to win the Rumble 3 years in a row.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, since he's come back, he's had some good wins against both Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. So I mean, you can't argue. I mean, the Brock Lesnar matches were terrible, but there's still good wins on paper and in his portfolio. In his resume to say he beat Brock. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, yeah, I think he takes the loss here. Um, so you think he wins the Royal Rumble again and has? He's not going to get a third shot next year at WrestleMania with Roman Reigns again. I'm not doing it 3 years in
And
a row. No, no, no. If
third
it's
time's the
if
charm.
no, 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 no. If they're doing it next year, I'm in protest. I'm in protest. I'm not watching WrestleMania if we have WrestleMania if it's Roman versus fucking Cody again. Yeah, no,
There,
I'm gonna.
there's several opportunities where they can do it
Uh,
beforehand. They can do Starcade. They can do Madison Square Garden. At day one for
fucking
the Netflix premiere.
yeah, yeah.
Like there's two solid opportunities of where they could do it beforehand. And I think both of those work better than doing it at WrestleMania anyways.
I think Roman wins and Cody leaves WWE and goes back to AEW. I don't see that happening, but that would be funny. That would make me laugh.
But
Uh,
Starcade, that's his daddy's show. And if
yeah,
it's day one, the Netflix premiere, Madison Square Garden, like that is the building where his father held the title for all of 5 seconds.
yeah. Yeah, that is true. It's very true. It does bring it back full circle. I don't know. We'll have to end up see what's happening, but I do think he's taking the Lakers.
But if you do
But
Starcade, do it in Atlanta, Cody's home.
yeah, yeah, that would make that would make it extremely memorable. Then that would be giving him the proper finish.
Do you go with the past or do you go with the present? Do you do the Dusty storyline? Do it in Madison Square Garden, day one, Netflix premiere, or do you do it for Starcade, Atlanta, Cody's home, and he does it for himself, not his dad?
I don't. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't think if you're gonna do it, you do it this year at WrestleMania, and it's just Cody's win.
No.
But I don't think that's happening. But I think that's if you're going to, now's the time to do it. But I don't know. We'll end up seeing, I guess, what ends up happening. That brings us to the end of our WrestleMania preview. Should be a fun WrestleMania. Going to be a busy weekend. Before we get out of here, make sure and join us Friday night. We have Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor. We got Joey Janela's Spring Break, SmackDown, and Rampage. We have a full slate of wrestling for Friday night fights. So make sure and join us live for that on Friday night. Then tune in with us on Saturday in the morning for Stand and Deliver at 11 a.m. She's got it at 11 a.m. I think it's at noon technically, but it could be at 11:30 Eastern time, as well as Effie's Big Gay Brunch. We will be watching both of them. It most likely will be myself and Dolores. Well, it will be myself and Dolores, and anybody else that wants to join us. So please make sure you tune in for that, and then come back later that night for WrestleMania Night 1, Saturday, April 6th, and then come into our Sunday for WrestleMania Night 2, April 7th. So we will be here for both nights watching it. I'm assuming, Sammy, you'll do your best to be here for both nights. So hopefully you'll be here. I will be here. I don't know who else to join us. I think CM said she's going to try to come. Anika, I think, has to work both nights, so I don't think she'll be here at all. But uh,
Like you saw tonight, it can get kind of crazy here when I'm on stream for too long.
yes, sir. The dogs, right? The dogs get a little
They
crazy.
demand attention.
So they demand attention. On that note, we're going to get out of here for tonight, and we will see you back this weekend. So, peace.